Hey, business owner, do you want to succeed in business? Do you want to be huge? You need to get to the gym. You need to get ripped, get pumped, feel the burn. You're going to win. You're going to be a winner. Hang on. Guess what? Right, in this episode of the Business Amplifier podcast, I'm talking to Paul Wilkinson from the amazing Latitude Fitness. And we're going to tell you what you really need to succeed in the gym. And guess what? It doesn't involve blasting your glutes. I don't even know what glutes are. Here's Paul. Do you know what? I never eat lard and I've got an arse that won't quit. So I think I'm just going to crack on with my big business and forget about all this silly fitness nonsense, jumping around in a gym and pumping iron and wearing a singlet and like shouting to techno. I could do without any of that. How confused am I, Paul?
Well, no, I think you're exactly right, Andrew. I think that's what the fitness world is inhabited with. I don't think there's any normal people in fitness or either working in fitness or into fitness. It's just full of either drill sergeants or gym rats or gorillas. It's just no normal people in there whatsoever.
Gym rats. There's a phrase I've never heard before. Okay, we're here with Paul Wilkinson of Latitude Fitness, and we're going to talk about the 3 ways fitness will take you from burnout to business growth. So, Paul, what's point number 1?
Point number 1 is it's the first domino, Andrew.
Okay.
If you fit, as we sort of, people say, you're nothing without your health.
Okay.
It's absolutely true. If you're fit, if you're healthy, it has that ripple effect. You've got more energy, perhaps, then you're sleeping better, you're looking better, you feel more confident, you've more energy, mood is better. So it's that first domino. Then you're probably more inspired to eat better. So it's that first domino that sets everything off in the right direction. The ripple effect can be quite far-reaching.
That's a really good way of looking at things, because everything starts with what you put in your gob, essentially, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're not looking after your body, then your brain doesn't stand a chance. So anybody's watching this and they're thinking, I'm still not convinced. How is it the first domino? Have you got any kind of examples of people you've worked with who have had that revelation of going, do you know what? That made a real difference.
Well, I can give you no better example than me, actually. When I worked in the legal profession for 22 years after leaving school, and got to the point where, it wasn't uncommon in those days, sort of Friday lunchtime, you go to the pub, have a few pints. Friday afternoon was a write-off. And then same again after you'd left work on Friday, then you'd be out over the weekend. You've got a sedentary job, quite a stressful job. You're eating whatever's nearest. You're not inclined to go to the gym or do any exercise. And after a while, it starts to take its toll. Your trousers are getting tighter. You're chugging coffee like it's a life support machine. And it's just a downward spiral. And I noticed that is how I was going. And something needed to change. And after finding myself exercising and eating better, it wasn't flicking a switch, and it wasn't an overnight thing, but just slowly but surely, I started to feel the difference. So if it had that effect on me, then it would undoubtedly have that effect on other people. And I think you become so used to that feeling of fatigue and general it's been your default setting that you can't remember what it was like to feel good.
Wow. So there you go. There's way number 1 that fitness can take you from burnout to business growth. It's just the first domino. So what's the second way fitness can take you from burnout to business growth, Mr. Paul?
Well, is it costing you money? Which might seem quite hyperbolic, but might not directly be costing you money. But if you think about it, if you're falling asleep in a meeting where there's a lot riding on it, you're asleep. Maybe he'll miss a deal. I don't know. Maybe that
could offend people.
Nudge you and just wake you up and and hope that you sit up and take notice. But if you're sick a lot, if you're not as resilient to viruses and infections and injury and just general sniffles, if you're taking a lot of time off sick, if your productivity is low because your energy is completely in the doldrums, and you're finding it hard to get out of bed on a morning, and you're just surviving through the day instead of thriving, without being too cliched, then ultimately it's going to have an effect on your bottom line.
Absolutely, that makes total sense. So, what's the third way that fitness can take you from burnout to business growth?
Well, leadership, influence, leading by example.
Okay.
Law of attraction, shall we say, but not necessarily in the manifestation sense. But if you're confident and you're setting a good example, you'll become more inspirational. People will want to work with you. People want to work for you. So you just project this air of confidence and influence, if you like. So in that sense, it's I think we would you say that in life in generally we're just attracted to people who seem to have it all sorted, and I'm not saying that we should judge anybody by their appearance, far from it, but I think even if it's subliminal, we are attracted to people who look confident and look good, and generally project a good image.
I see that absolutely. I mean, we're roughly the same age, and when I was younger, the picture of the business leader or the successful small businessman was always kind of a slightly rotund, ill-looking, grey-haired man. I pause at grey-haired because I am obviously grey-haired,
And
and I
I'm not.
think, but what people I think perceive as a successful business leader now is actually somebody who is fit and well.
Yeah.
It's completely flipped around, and we're receiving the message from all angles these days that just just being successful in business or just making money does not make you a whole person. And I'm
Mm.
very much a believer in, I don't think it's worth sacrificing the now for a possible payoff in the later with regards to your health. You got to be healthy now.
Yeah.
So I want to go back. So there's the three reasons, which are really neat. First domino, being unfit costs you money, and talking about the law of attraction. So what's the next step? If somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, do you know what, that does ring true with me, what do you think the first thing they should do is?
Well, I think you need to establish where you're at for a start. I think what probably the fitness industry as a whole has a bit of a PR problem, in my opinion, in that it's not helping or it's not attractive to the people that perhaps need the help. If you look at an average website or blog, social media poster, advert for fitness, it will generally be good-looking, buff people, spray tan, Hollywood smile, and a lot of people are looking at that and thinking, I just can't relate to that. So it's like I'm not into cooking, and I can't really cook. I can cook enough, but if I was looking at taking cooking lessons and all I was looking at was an advert with Gordon Ramsay flambeing some Michelin-starred dish and then serving up at perfection on a plate, I'd be thinking, well, I don't really want to be going to that, because that's not me. I couldn't manage that. So establish where you're at. And so if, and I'm going to be hyperbolic again, but if you were eating 5 cream cakes a day and drinking 5 cans of 7-Up a day, then if you replace one of those cans of 7-Up with a glass of water and one of those cream cakes with an apple, and then decided to take the stairs, then you would be on a very good trajectory. And then once you've mastered that, once you've got a handle on that, then move on to the next thing. I think what we tend to do, and you see this at New Year all the time, is that we decide that we're going to get up at 5 a.m. and have an ice bath and then have a kale smoothie for breakfast, for lunch. And we can't. Then we throw in the towel after. Well, if we make it into the week
after the first kale smoothie,
yeah. So I would say establish where you're at and make manageable changes that are sustainable over the long term. Because what you want to do is have something that you do for life. It's a lifestyle change and not something that you do for 6 weeks and then fall off the wagon and then you're back to square one. And life gets in the way. So if you can be consistent, so look at a week in isolation and it might be a car crash. But if over 12 months of the year that you're generally consistent, you're probably going to be okay. But we like these quick fixes. And fitness is very good at trying to sell those.
Unfortunately so. We see it a lot. So anybody listening to this, if you wanted them to remember just one of the many brilliant things you've said, what would that one thing be? Or what would the feeling that you'd want people to have coming away from watching or listening to this episode?
I would want them to think that is doable. Yes, I can do that. I've been putting it off for long enough because I feel like it's going to involve hardship and deprivation. And I just really cannot commit to that. The time isn't right. I'll wait until I get back off holiday. I'll wait until, depending on the time of year, till Christmas is over with, there's just all sorts of reasons why you can put it off. I've got a lot of work, but to replace a can of Coke with a glass of water, you can do that straight away. But I think it's this hardship and deprivation that's going to be a complete lifestyle overhaul, which it may be in the long term, but if you start where you can with something manageable, then there's a good chance that you're going to succeed.
And anybody listening to this who's listened to other podcasts about business growth or read books, we know the power of marginal gains. So what I really like about your message, Paul, is it's just that. It's doable. It's a marginal gain that builds to a larger thing. So thank you ever so much for getting involved. This has been really good. I'm going to say goodbye. Do you want to say goodbye?
Thank you, Andrew. I have thoroughly enjoyed that. It's a pleasure to have been on.
So, thank you to Paul Wilkinson. That was great. Are you convinced to start your own fitness journey now? It's not just about pumping iron and flexing abs. It's about 3 ways that fitness can help you go from burnout to business growth. We bounced around a bit, as always, we do this podcast. So here are those 3 things in a simple to understand format. Number 1, the first domino. Just making that small change can be the first small part of a large thing. It wasn't about pizza, which I thought it was going to be about. Number 2, your lack of fitness will be costing you money. Could be lost deals, could be lost work, could be almost anything, but it will be costing you money. Number 3, we haven't really got a title for it. We're going to put that down to the law of attraction. So there you go. What do you think of this? I wanted to do an episode that had nothing to do with digital marketing, nothing to do with SEO, nothing to do with the tech world at all, because growing your business is more about yourself than it is just your bottom line or any technology you're looking at. So do you want more episodes like this? If you do, let me know. Please comment, contact me, and subscribe. Go on, do it. Subscribe. Now, I mean, I can wait. Have you done it yet? You subscribed? Good, I'm pleased. Right, just remains for me to say, tell all your friends.